From 1983 to 1986, he served as counterterrorism coordinator on the National Security Council staff. He helped plan the rescue of U.S. students on Grenada, the capture of the al-Khali hijackers, and the raid on Muammar Gaddafi's terror bases, after which he was targeted for assassination by Abu Nahi. President Ronald Reagan described him as a national hero. In 1990, he founded Freedom's Alliance, an organization that has provided over $13 million in college scholarships to more than 1,000 children of military personnel killed or permanently disabled in the line of duty. For 17 years, he was the war correspondent and host of award-winning war stories shows on Fox News Channel. In May of 2018, he retired from Fox News to serve as the 66th president of the National Rifle Association of America. Despite those accolades, he says his greatest achievement is being husband of one, father of four, and grandfather of seven. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a fellow combat veteran, a life member of former VFW Post 3492 in Fairfield, Alabama, and recipient of the 2004 VFW News Meeting Award, Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Let's miss you come aboard.
Thank you. You're more than welcome. I'll get this out of your room. Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you all. Harris is taller than I am. That's why the mic was up that way. Commander-in-Chief Harmon, thank you very much for your kind introduction and the chance to be mustered with you for this 119th gathering of the VFW leadership. And I'll let you know that it's an honor to be introduced by a fellow Vietnam combat veteran and to be reminded of the times I've been with you before. Second, Harris. She is a tough act to follow. I've got some experience with that, but it's a privilege for me to be on this platform with a former Fox colleague and a dear friend. I saw that she put up her book. If you have not gotten a copy of Rules of Engagement, you need to, you ought to, and I'm going to leave time at the back end of my remarks before the next speaker so they can come out and get an autograph. I'm not sure they'll be happy because the crowd is going to be with you, but even before I first met her at Fox News, but even before I had met Harris, I had read her book, Breaking News, God Has a Plan. And I read it because I know that that's true. I know that from personal experience. And so I commend to you not only an Army brat, as I am, and also a wonderful broadcaster, but also a person of great faith. Thank you for inspiring us all. Third reason I'm grateful is because Commander-in-Chief Harmon arranged for me to precede the next speaker many years ago. In fact, I mentioned this the last time we were all together at a convocation such as this. I often had to follow on the stage the president for whom I worked, Ronald Reagan. That's a really tough act to follow. And so I'm glad I'm up before the current Commander-in-Chief. Finally, my thanks to Veterans Airlift Command, which made it possible for me to get here and quite frankly, to address an organization that's actually older than I am. That's a rare thing nowadays. So why am I here? Well, very simply, this is a time for the National Rifle Association and the VFW to work closely together as allies for the good of our country. We share a common heritage. Both organizations were founded by military veterans who knew the challenges of service in time of war. The NRA was chartered in 1871. It's still our nation's oldest and largest civil rights organization. The VFW dates back to 1899. It's America's oldest and largest war veterans organization. Both the NRA and the VFW have had U.S. presidents as members. Both organizations have a long lineage of service to our citizens, our communities, and our country. The National Rifle Association and the VFW publications each carry each other's ads. The ad you see up right now has been seen by 4.5 million NRA members, and of course, those are the ideas and ideals that both organizations believe in. And on top of that, unspoken, but I'm sure those of you who went on Sunday night know both organizations love Trace Adkins' patriotic music. Both organizations are full of members who understand what situational awareness is and how crucial that is to mission success. Now, for those who don't know back there in that riser, who are going to be roundly criticized for sure by the next speaker here, of which I was long a member for 17 years along with Harris, situational awareness defined, for those of you who don't know what it is back there in the riser, is knowing what's going on around you and having a plan to deal with it. Well, every one of us who's served in war or combat has situational awareness. So does every first responder, every law officer, and certainly every firearms owner who belongs to the NRA. We also know that situational awareness is not a flower that grows in every garden. In fact, it's most often evident in its absence, and I'll give you an example. Betsy and I, my wife of now nearly 50 years, lead trips to the Holy Land each year. Oh, wait, hey, it's getting better. Betsy and I lead trips to the Holy Land each year, and last January, we were waiting in the hotel lobby in Jerusalem for some friends to come down on the elevator, and we're going to go out to have dinner with some Israeli friends of mine from long ago and far away. And because I have great situational awareness, I realized that the tour bus that has just pulled up in front of the hotel is full of Americans. I know this because of my situational awareness, and on the side of the bus it said, Mike Huckabee, Holy Land Tours. First guy gets out of the bus, walks right over to me, and says to me, "Did anybody ever tell you you look a lot like Ollie North?" And at this point, I can't help myself. I say to him, "It's a good thing I look like Ollie North because I'm sleeping with his wife." Guess who's not laughing at this? Ollie North's wife is not laughing at this. And the guy, without missing a beat, turns to me and says, "You better watch yourself. He's a U.S. Marine. He'll kick your butt." And as he walks away, Mrs. North says, "Don't quit your day job, big boy. You're never going to make it in stand-up comedy." Unfortunately, the lack of situational awareness to many of our political and media elites is no laughing matter. There are innumerable ways for the NRA and the VFW to work together to make our communities and our nation better. But in the brief time that we've got together today, let me describe one of extraordinary urgency that those of us with situational awareness can truly see. Now, for full disclosure, for me, this is very personal. Our 4 kids are all grown. We have 17 grandkids. I have skin in this game. In just a few short weeks, most of America's school children will be going back to school. Among them will be 12 of our 17 grandkids. There are more than 130,000 public and private elementary, intermediate, and high schools in America. According to public surveys, 65% of those schools have a recorded 1 or more incidents of some type of violent criminal behavior in those schools, either during school hours or during extracurricular activities. Yet, in this country, our banks, our airports, office buildings, sports stadiums are more secure from attack than our schools. That ought to be unacceptable to all of us. It's a sad and all too often tragic reality in our nation that our most precious resource, our children, are not better protected. It was recently reported that even the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., is considering extra security measures to protect its resident animals and their guests. Are our schools and our children less important than zoos? I hope not. I believe that protecting our children while they're learning in their classrooms ought to be a national imperative. As the next president of the National Rifle Association, I am fully committed to the mission of safeguarding our schools and saving our children the mayhem of madmen bent on senseless murder. That's why we're promoting our National School Shield program. Its singular mission is to protect school children in their learning environment. Here's one of our TV ads. Everyone understands the importance of securing our public places. That's why every major corporate campus and office tower, every sporting event, celebrity award show, and government building, all of it is protected by multiple layers of security. But when it comes to our most precious resource, not gold or oil or precious jewels, our children, we utterly fail to protect them at school every single day. Each day that goes by, our banks and businesses are better protected than our children. That's a national outrage. NRA's School Shield program has already made world-class security resources available to hundreds of American schools. It's free of politics, and it's free of charge. If your child's school isn't protected, ask them to call School Shield today. We're the National Rifle Association of America, guardians of our school children and freedom's safest place. Now, thousands of NRA's nearly 6 million members and supporters are contributing to directly assist schools and school districts nationwide. It's available free to any American school. Let me repeat that. Any American school that needs discreet professional consultation and help defining and designing their own specific security solutions should contact National School Shield. Our expert assistance is provided absolutely free, thanks to the generous support of donors to the NRA Foundation. That's right, our members truly care about protecting our school children. National School Shield assistance is offered free of charge. No other political group, media conglomerate, or Hollywood crowd has ever offered anything like this. It is sad but true that evil walks among us. That stark reality is one reason NRA members so fervently treasure the Second Amendment and the right to keep and bear arms to defend ourselves and our families. We never waver from our fight to protect our constitutional freedoms, and we will never waver from our fight to safeguard our children. The National School Shield program engages communities and empowers local leaders to make our schools safer. Schools and districts nationwide have applied for and received National School Shield grants for pragmatic, effective security solutions. These grants are often crucial because so many schools report inadequate funding as the #1 reason for not enhancing security. Of course, you won't hear much about this from the so-called mainstream media. This extraordinary effort is good news and, for reasons beyond my control, doesn't fit their agenda to demonize the NRA, and the freedoms for which you and I fought on battlefields far and wide. It somehow seems that if the masters of the so-called mainstream media had their way, the Second Amendment would simply be repealed. There's measures to that effect in the Congress right now. It's also been suggested by a former justice of the Supreme Court. Apparently, their utopia is every one of us disarmed. But now, if disarming American citizens leads to greater security, greater safety, let's remove armed security from Congress, Hollywood. Let's disarm our banks, office buildings, sport venues. But if those institutions and people deserve protection, don't our children deserve at least that much safety? At its core, the Second Amendment secures our individual freedom to secure, protect, and honor those who are defenseless, like children in school, our homes, our families, and their lives. When we stand and fight for that freedom, we fight for the freedom for all Americans, including the freedom for our children to go to school and be safe in their classrooms. Now, here's why synergy between the NRA and the VFW can truly be life-saving. Not just ads in our publications, not just occasionally showing up at each other's meetings. When you go home from this 119th VFW convention, you can do what we used to call in the military some reconnaissance. If you have a child or grandchildren in a school that's not protected, ask the principal, the superintendent, the school board to contact National School Shield immediately. The NRA and the VFW are natural allies. Our ranks are full of patriots who fought for our freedom on foreign soil. You and your families have sacrificed much on behalf of our great nation. For your heroic service, I'm joined by nearly 6 million NRA members who salute you for your service. These days, too many of our countrymen treat patriotism as some sort of cliche. For media elites and political power brokers, the idea of fighting to preserve our unique American freedoms is no longer necessary. It's in this postmodern America. Those of us who stand and place our hands over our hearts to honor our anthem and our flag are now viewed to be somehow archaic or even irrelevant. Perhaps that's because so few of them have mourned the loss of fellow comrades in arms as they're carried to their final resting place, draped in that red, white, and blue banner. We have. We've all done it. The NRA and the VFW believe that patriotism, love of country, and standing to salute our flag aren't flaws, they're virtues. Let me close with that thought. Let me close with that thought with one of our newest TV ads. Please watch. What makes America's military the most fearsome force on earth isn't just the weapons, equipment, or technology. It's the flag beneath which we serve. From the shores of Tripoli and Normandy to the jungles of Vietnam and the streets of Baghdad and Kandahar, America's armed forces fight with courage, selflessness, and noble purpose unmatched and undefeated. We've always known that behind our line stands every hope for human freedom on this earth. So let me say this to all who serve or who have served. If you want to continue your fight to keep freedom alive, there's a nearly 6 million member force that would be truly proud to add your name to our ranks. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you, and I look forward to joining you again maybe at number 120. Semper Fidelis.